Six Flags, as we know it, is dead. After the merger with Cedar Fair, and Cedar Fair's CEO in charge of the chain they now call Six Flags, we're gonna see a lot of changes. That's not to say Six Flags was the same from its origins all the way to 2024. They've seen major changes, especially after being bought by Premier Parks in 1998. But today, I want to go all the way back to 1961, the opening year of the original Six Flags park in Arlington, Texas, and track every coaster they've built up to 2025. They've been in charge of 24 theme parks during that time, added 189 coasters, and these are their favorite manufacturers. First, I want to thank my Patreons and my new members, Scott Hawk and Fraser Stubbs. If you want bonus access, bonus content, behind the scenes videos, a shout out when you join, and your name on this fancy Patreon screen, follow the link below and join. I'm only looking at legacy Six Flags parks. Parks they've been in control of at any point between 1961 and 2025. So, no legacy Cedar Fair parks. And yes, I am including the new for 2025 coasters. I don't think those were influenced by the merger. They were probably in the works before that was final. Of the 189 coasters I base this video on, none of them are relocated. A lot of times, relocated coasters come about due to circumstance. It's not a good reflection of how well the chain works with the manufacturer the way a new coaster is. Keep in mind, I'm only including the coaster Six Flags added, so I had to find out what years these parks fell under Six Flags rule and exclude everything that came before and in some cases after. If you want to see the same video for the legacy Cedar Fair parks, get me to 1,000 likes and I'll make that happen. Six Flags dealt with 30 different manufacturers, 8 of them only once. Some of these are kinda weird, like the Stan Company being responsible for Viper at Great America, and Rivershawn building Raging Cajun in the same park. Molina & Sons building the Great Alonzo's Cannonball coaster at Six Flags St. Louis. But also, some major manufacturers they've only used once. The only E&F miler was Canyon Blaster at Magic Mountain. And no, Great Chase at New England was not added by Six Flags. RCCA's only built a few coasters, but they did sell one to Six Flags in 2002, back when they still had parks in Europe, this being Wild Wild West at Parque Warner Madrid. Maurer only sold Six Flags one of their Wild Mouse coasters, that being RoadRunner Express at Kentucky Kingdom, now known as Gotham City Gauntlet at New England. Morgan also doesn't have many coasters to their name, but only got one inside the Six Flags chain, that coming to Mexico in Superman El Ultimo Escape. And despite doing some good work with CCI, they've only worked with the Gravity Group once, and it was just last year, Bobcat coming to Great Escape. 4 manufacturers have worked with Six Flags twice. That, of course, includes Geauga, selling the chain 2 of the tallest coasters ever built, Goliath and Titan. 2 of 3 coasters that company can hang their banner on. PTC stopped making coasters in 1976, but 2 of their original parks got some of that action. Great American Scream Machine at Over Georgia, and the final PTC coaster, Screamin' Eagle at St. Louis. Chance Rides hasn't done too much with coasters outside their toboggans, but Six Flags has gone to them for 2 family coasters. That was Wile E. Coyote Canyon Blaster over Texas, that being their Big Dipper model, and a custom family coaster over Georgia, Joker Funhouse. Finally, Six Flags was smart enough to limit their interactions with Togo, only getting 2 and both come in a great adventure. First, Ultra Twister in 1986, and then the coaster that replaced it several years later and even tried to emulate it, Viper. 4 manufacturers got with Six Flags 3 times, and that includes ones you wouldn't expect. One of them is Rosser and Cobb. This isn't really a manufacturer, but these coasters were designed by Don Rosser and William Cobb, all coming from 1976 to 1980. Texas Psyclone at Astroworld, the first coaster Six Flags gave to Astroworld, and by most accounts, their best. Rolling Thunder at Great Adventure being the first coaster Six Flags got for that park, and Judge Roy Scream at Six Flags Over Texas. Speaking of wooden coasters, Six Flags turned to the Din Corporation 3 times in a 2-year span, getting the massive Texas Giant in 1990 and 2 Psyclone coasters, Georgia Cyclone at Over Georgia and Cyclone at Magic Mountain. Alan Herschel made a lot of kids coasters and portable Wild Mice, and they got 2 of the kids models, Rock and Roller at St. Louis and Wild Kitty at Frontier City. Also, 1 Wild Mouse, the first coaster Six Flags ever built back in 1961, that being Sidewinder at their original park, Over Texas. They've also used Scanline 3 times. Harley Quinn at Discovery Kingdom didn't go well, but they still jumped in the chance to get up a Sketty Bowl kids coaster, buying 2 before they were sure one would work. 1 for Fiesta Texas, 1 for Over Georgia. The 2 big wooden manufacturers of the 90s have 4 apiece, CCI including Boss, Medusa, Twisted Twins, and Villain. The Boss is the only one still around. 2 have been RMC'd, and Villain fell victim to the downfall of Geauga Lake. Then, you got GCI, these spanning from 1998 to 2009, including both Roar coasters, and getting back-to-back GCIs post-bankruptcy, American Thunder and Apocalypse. Schwarzkopf stopped building coasters in the mid-80s, but they are the only manufacturer Six Flags worked with 5 times. This was mostly done at their original parks, Over Texas getting Big Bend in 1971 and Shockwave in 1978. Over Geauga getting Mindbender in 1978 also. Keeping the 1978 vibes alive, Astroworld got Grease Lightning that year, and their final original park in St. Louis got Jetstream in 1981, the fifth and final time Six Flags would buy a new Schwarzkopf. 3 manufacturers have 6 coasters with 6 flags, starting with mock rides. Unfortunately, nothing modern and awesome, 5 of these 6 being Wild Mouse coasters. That includes all 3 Dark Knight coasters that came in 2008 and 2009, and 2 coasters in their European division. The coaster, now known as Ghost Chasers at Movie Park Germany, and Flying Dutchman Goldmine at Wallaby Holland. Then, you have the one power splash in the chain, Aquaman Power Wave at Over Texas. Next up, you got Zir, and all 6 are small scale. You have the Tivoli Large and Tivoli Small, the large ones like Catwoman's Whip at New England, Beaverland Mine Ride at Geauga Lake, Cobra at Discovery Kingdom, Harley Quinn Crazy Train at Great Adventure, and Tom and Jerry at Parque Warner Madrid. And then, the one Tivoli Small was Coccinelle at Wallaby, Belgium. Gerstlauer may have had a falling out with Six Flags after the New Texas Giant accident, but they packed in 6 coasters between 2007 and 2011. That includes 5 Pandemonium Spinners and 1 Eurofighter, Daredevil Dive at Over Geauga, not including Tantrum at Darien Lake, of course. That was added in 2018, the same year Six Flags agreed to take over operations. One manufacturer has 8 coasters, and that's S&S. No surprise, those free spins seem to be everywhere. You have the 4 Jokers, the 2 Batman the Rides, and the 1 Wonder Woman, that one being in Mexico. The only S&S that isn't a free spin is Max Force, the air launch coaster at Great America. Now, we're up to 9, and that's where we find Premier Rides. They've been loading Six Flags with launch coasters since 1997, but their very first coaster as a company also came to a Six Flags park and it wasn't launched, Runaway Mountain at Over Texas. Then, you had the 2 Mr. Freeze coasters, Chiller at Great Adventure, the 2 Spaghetti Bowl launch loopers, Joker's Jinx and Poltergeist, their first ever Skyrocket 2, and surprisingly, the only one Six Flags ever ordered, Superman Ultimate Flight at Discovery Kingdom. And the last 2 have come to Magic Mountain, Full Throttle in 2013 and West Coast Racers in 2020. Before we line up the top 5, let's talk about the manufacturer that just missed at 10 coasters, Zamperla. The first thing you think of is their Gravity coaster. How many of these very simple kids coasters does Six Flags buy? And the answer is 6. So, that just leaves 4 that aren't kids coasters. And then you look at Wild Mouse coasters, and you have Woodstock Express at Wallaby Rhone Alps. Yes, Six Flags was in charge from 1998 to 2004. Toboggan Nordique at La Ronde, and the one Spinning Mouse they got from Zamperla, Sidewinder Safari at Discovery Kingdom. Then, you have one Volare. That came back in 2002 when the chain owned Elitch Gardens, that flyer now at Coney Island. In 5th place with 11 coasters is RMC. Kinda surprising since they're so new, only dating back to 2011. But post-bankruptcy Six Flags was packing in the RMCs early on. New Texas Giant worked out great. That led to Iron Rattler 2 years later. Medusa got the treatment in 2014. They also got their one and only ground-up Chopper-Track wooden coaster in 2014, Goliath at Great America. They got 2 elite hybrid conversions in 2015, with Twisted Colossus and Wicked Psyclone. Discovery Kingdom got in on the fun in 2016 with Joker, and their last RMC conversion was 2018, Twisted Cyclone. That's 8 of the 11, and from there, it's been all Raptors, starting with Wonder Woman at Fiesta Texas, Jersey Devil at Great Adventure, and its near clone, Wonder Woman at Magic Mountain. We'll see if the new Six Flags still wants to work with RMC, now being run by Cedar Fair's Richard Zimmerman. In 4th place with 12 coasters is Aerodynamics, and this one does make sense. Six Flags went hard with arrows in the early years, the first one being Runaway Mine Train at Over Texas in 1966. Of those 12, half are mine trains, 2 being of the mini variety at Over Texas and Over Geauga, the latest one being RoadRunner Express at Fiesta Texas in 1997. Of the other 6, 3 are mega loopers, all brought in consecutive years from 1988 to 1990, Shockwave at Great America, Great American Scream Machine at Great Adventure, and Viper at Magic Mountain. You also have 2 suspended coasters, Accelerate at Astroworld and Ninja at Magic Mountain. So that just leaves one more, the coaster that put the final nail in Arrow's coffin, X at Magic Mountain. So, Six Flags saw Arrow all the way to the end. In 3rd place with 19 coasters is Intamin. That was quite the big jump from Arrow, and they got started with Intamin much later, the first orders coming in 1984. That was the Sarajevo bobsled coasters coming to Great Adventure and Magic Mountain, building other portable coasters for the ride rotation program like Shockwave and Z-Force. Then, after a 10-year gap, a random indoor family coaster, Skull Mountain at Great Adventure. After that, Intamin took the reins of the coaster war, starting with Superman at Magic Mountain in 1996, the first 100-mile-an-hour coaster, 3 mega coasters, all called Superman Ride of Steel, 3 impulse coasters in 2000 and 2001, the one at Marine World having to be tilted on its side, the mini hyper Goliath at Wallaby Holland, the only half pipe in the chain coming to Elitch Gardens, and then the 2 monsters at Great Adventure coming in back-to-back years, King Dakar and El Toro. Six Flags added 12 Intamins from 1996 to 2006, and as their financial situation got worse, they only added 3 cents, and 2 are coming this year, Quantum Accelerator at New England and Georgia Gold Rusher Over Geauga. There is one between 2006 and 2025, that would be in 2011. That green coaster at Magic Mountain, no, we don't talk about. In second place with 29 coasters is B&M. Another huge jump from 19 to 29. Six Flags loved B&M in their reckless years, adding 26 of the 29 between 1990 and 2006, only 3 in the last 19 years. This, of course, started with the very first B&M coaster ever, Iron Wolf at Great America, and then for the next 5 years, they added 5 Batman inverts, finally breaking that streak with Riddler's Revenge, one of 3 stand-ups, Georgia Scorcher coming the year after. Also got Medusa in 1999, the first of 7 Flores coasters, that including Superman La Atracción de Acero at Parque Warner Madrid. 1999 also saw Raging Bull, one of 4 hypers in the chain, put in 4 flying coasters between 2002 and 2006, and after bankruptcy, their one and only wing coaster in 2012, X-Flight at Great America. They abandoned B&M for 10 years, the cost probably being outside their range, until they found the value in dive coasters. Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger coming to Fiesta Texas in 2022, and this year's Wrath of Rakshasa at Great America. So, 8 inverts. All of them are Batman clones, 7 floorless, 4 hypers and flyers, 3 stand-ups, 2 dives, and 1 wing. In first place with 32 coasters is Vekoma, barely edging out B&M. Vekoma was huge in the chain back in the 90s, especially with Premier Parks. They were filling these parks with SLCs and boomerangs. The fun got started at Over Texas in 1989, getting Flashback, and then in the 8-year span between 1995 and 2002, they got 29 new Vekomas. Mind Eraser at Six Flags America was first, and then Geauga Lake got their own Mind Eraser, but it wasn't an SLC, it was a boomerang. All in all, they added 10 SLCs and 9 boomerangs, making up well over half the total number of 32. Also throwing in 1 inverted boomerang, Two-Face at Six Flags America, 4 giant inverted boomerangs starting in 2001. That includes Stuntfella, Parque Warner Madrid, 2 Flying Dutchmen, both coming in 2001, X-Flight and Batwing, 2 wooden coasters in Europe, Loop Guru and Robin Hood, and then 2 kids coasters, Sprocket Rockets at Great America, and most recently, Rookie Racer at St. Louis. There are also a couple weird one-offs, both launched, Express Platform 13 at Wallaby Holland, and the new for 2025, Flash Vertical Velocity at Great Adventure, a super boomerang. Six Flags loved old school Vekoma, but after installing Stuntfall in 2002, they didn't go back to Vekoma until Rookie Racer in 2023, a 21-year gap. Even then, they win the title as Six Flags' favorite manufacturer. That's a wrap on this video. Let me know if anything here stands out to you, and don't forget, if you want to see this for the Legacy Cedar Fair Parks, get me to 1,000 likes and I'll put that together. Also, if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.